Cancer, the moon is in Scorpio, where the dust is starting to settle after the full moon, Cancer, and now she invites us to look into the ways that we can, or look into the areas that we want to change in our lives there, Cancer. Stay tuned to see how you can work with these energies. But before we jump into that, for those of you who are returning, welcome back, Soul Tribe. I appreciate your subscriptions, your likes, and shares. Your support really is just transformative, Soul Tribe, and it keeps us growing. And for those of you who are new, welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and I'm happy Higher Self has brought you here. We're in for an amazing journey. Now, the purpose of the channel, for those of you who are new, or for those of you who have Cancer in your placement, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, wherever, this one's for you. And I do tarot cards, spreads based of our ruler here, the good old moon, always shining bright in the sky there, Cancer. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she, well, not always, but I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, and what she's going for. And of course, just all of those lunar shenanigans. Wouldn't that be something? And just so you're all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what resonates with you. Leave the rest with me. Never force reading on a situation, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. All right, Cancer, your space has been cleansed. Crystals, feeling lovely. Oh, just my hourglass here, Cancer. Just great energy all around here. And Cancer, happy Mercury Day. Mercury is associated with Wednesdays and is a great day for getting the mind working there, Cancer. This could be great for doing some studying. This could be great for just even getting caught up on some leisure reading, having a conversation maybe with an old friend, with a new friend, with some maybe people you don't know, Cancer. Maybe you're chatting it up in the grocery store. Maybe you're chatting it up wherever you happen to chat it up there, Cancer. Maybe be feeling social at work. Great energy for exchange and communication. And I feel too, paying attention to how you go about in your day today. Mercury, it's interesting. You think about what I say about Wednesday's hump day, and I feel like it's kind of tuning in a little bit more, because Mercury is more than just about communication. It does deal with your everyday. Deals with your everyday, from your commute to the people that you're talking to the idle chit chat that is around you, to the stuff that you take in on the regular there, Cancer. And just seeing, and I feel like it's like kind of observing the mind and what it's kind of taking in there, Cancer. It's, we still have these kind of heavy Pisces things with Neptune and Saturn being in that sign for a little while longer. And Pisces is like that being, observing the mind, observing the world. It's that awareness of outside being. And I feel like it's just kind of just, see where you, it's like take a step outside of yourself, Cancer. Really just kind of seeing what's going on with Mercury there. Mercury can get a little interesting there. We'll get a little spiritual. But we're getting closer to where Mercury's getting ready to start stationing direct here soon, where he's getting out of that reflective state, and seeing how all the changes in your day to day, how you've kind of integrated those changes as well there, Cancer. Very interesting that what energies are kind of coming through there when you think about what's going on. But also, Cancer, we still have that full moon energy that's happening in Scorpio, but now we're on the waning end of this lunar cycle. And this is when we start to release, and where we start to make space, start to do some emotional decluttering, maybe even some physical decluttering. One thing that I've been starting to do towards around the new moons is just going around and cleaning up the space, just kind of straighten up things. And I like that, Cancer. Hold on. Yeah, but just kind of going around cleaning up things. Thank you, herself. And just seeing where I can welcome in more abundance. resistance? Where's something that has been just kind of just existing just because, and just sort of, and this could even too, you don't have to necessarily just throw out stuff all the time, but just sitting too with what are some concepts as well? What are some things when we're thinking about Scorpio that deals with the emotions? And what are some things that we've been really kind of clinging on to? Because being the fixed water sign, Scorpio energy can have that tendency to lock on to something like that, and just to get so to it can be almost be this kind of obsessive type of energy. So what are maybe some things that we've maybe clung on to that we're ready to start to let go? Or if we're not letting it go, we're at least putting it under a state of analysis. I almost feel like it's kind of taking this to the interrogation room is what I'm picturing when you're getting into Scorpio, just finding out the truth behind certain things. That's Scorpio's ultimate goal, the motivations behind these things. Is this thing restricting my power, or is this thing empowering me? And then what changes do I need to make in order to get to the place if it's not empowering me? And then in that empowerment, what can I do with what changes can I bring to share with others? Then it's that meshing of energies there. And I feel too, even thinking about the kind of relationships that we've merged with as well, because of course when you talk about Scorpio, we're getting into sex, and we're not just talking about that necessarily that physical interaction. Scorpio is that mental blend of energies as well, and it's just seeing whom we may have been blending with, maybe where some ideals, where some things of maybe some lines have gotten a little blurry. Maybe there's needing to be a kind of, maybe some boundaries that are needing to be enforced here, possibly. Just kind of looking to that as well, Scorpio. You got that venom that's going on there. Where have things maybe begun toxic? Where have we been maybe keeping secrets in our relationships, possibly? And of course it's hell. Everyone needs to have things that they keep to themselves, but what are some things that maybe be of detriment to the relationship if not necessarily dealt with, if we let that wound kind of fester there? So that's another even thing. But there's some stuff that we can maybe even let go with that, to that regard. So Scorpio is meant to be a very empowering energy, and I feel with it being, every time we get to that full moon, we can really see things clearly, and not just, and it's like, at first we were feeling it, but now we really kind of see it, and what the potential that it can be. And so I feel like it's what you take with the information from Scorpio. And it's like, do you let that empower you, or do you let it bring you down? The fears that may kind of come up when we get into this energy. Yeah, Scorpio can be a tricky one, but it's a very beautiful energy. What comes through with this, and we're still going to be in this energy for a little while longer, as we're getting a full kind of dose of this. We have one more day where we're kind of in this waning gibbous until towards the evening tomorrow, but we'll get into that a little bit more tomorrow. But I feel like this is a time to realize as well, like to remember as well, this is not something that you necessarily need to rush. I feel like you don't need to have all the answers, to think about. Like, healing takes time, when we're dealing with this type of stuff that Scorpio brings up when we're getting into like Pluto and Mars. It can be a lot. It can be come across aggressively, but it ultimately is leading to this rebirth, and rebirth is uncomfortable. That water energy can be that. Yeah, even when you think about, like, Scorpio's also been associated with like the Phoenix, and you think about that just bursting into this flame, this whole big magnificent kind of outgoing, and then kind of rising up again from that ashes, like vulnerable, new, just like unsure of the world, haven't quite gotten your footing yet. It's a lot that goes on with that process there. So be kind with yourself in this thing, doing some things to take care of your energies, and looking, I feel just kind of deep there with when I'm just thinking with the Pluto influence. So, looking deep there just to make sure that you're fulfilling your needs in this, and that you're going at your pace, and that to make sure that this energy, this experience has been one of empowerment, and that, Yeah, that's why I got that for you, Cancer. And if you're curious about how this energy is working out in your chart, book a reading with me, Cancer. I have links down in the description box below, and also on my Instagram and my bio as well. But we can talk about just as simple as going through the moon, Cancer, as knowing what house she's traveling through shows you the terrain, the stage that is the focus of what needs, or what your emotional needs are, or what you need to take care of in that time. It's cool when you start syncing up with the moon and kind of seeing how this stuff, and just kind of getting inquisitive. How have I not been taking care of my needs, or is in this needs, or oh, I'm feeling pretty solid in this needs. How can I expand on that? Maybe carry this into another thing. Oh, this is a time where I need to maybe kind of sit with myself more and do blah 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 blah. And just and then even getting with when you're working with just like your personal lunar return chart, which deals with where your personal moon falls each month. It could be very valuable energy or a very valuable kind of tool in your tool belt there, Cancer. So if that's something that's resonating with you, we could talk about as far as like your yearly, or what's going on for you for that year. Kind of really get in depth there. Some questions that are going on. Talk about how that's on a grander scale. Really cool kind of in-depth stuff that you can go into with this energy there, Cancer, from the lunar cycles to where the planets are even traversing through your houses, and what themes maybe, and how you can see how nuanced it is. I have, for example, I know it even provides this different level of empathy too. Saturn's going through my 8th house in Pisces right now, and that's bringing up a lot of scorpionic type of things with Pisces, or with the 8th house. And then it's been a very kind of, it's been a little intense with Saturn, but I know someone who has Saturn in the 8th house all the time, and they have it in Scorpio. And so it just goes to kind of show you, like, it just puts things in a really cool perspective. And that even gets into a whole other thing, Cancer, doing a synastry chart, seeing how your energies compare with one another. That's another way that we could even get into this energy, and seeing how, not necessarily the compatibility, but how we negotiate as and co-create as galaxies. How do our two worlds mesh to one together? For example, my partner and I, both of our moon placements fall in each other's 3rd house. So when it comes to communicating, that's something that's always been very effortless for us. When it comes to communicating our emotions, it's always been very receptive, but now that it's even more intentional, it's even fueled that even more so because when you look at it on this one app that I have breaks it down in an interesting way, but when you're not looking at the aspects, but it doesn't, like, it's not necessarily the greatest of scores, but it just depends on how you work with the energies. I've seen charts where they have a bunch of really easy flowing energies, trines and sextiles, and and together they're a hot mess. So it just it really depends on what you're bringing in that chart too, and what energies are highlighted more than the other, and what does the other person bring out. So a lot of nuance that goes in with this, Cancer. So again, if that's something that you have questions about, feel free to DM me on Instagram as well. And then these readings that I do, Cancer, they're not gender specific readings, so apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situations. And then check out this reader down there, Jamie. We just did a live not too long ago, and she's always been very supportive of the channel. She's always doing very, really cool work with the community, from doing these book clubs to talking about mental illness to the tarot services that she provides, and just so much more work. And she really just creates a very great sense of community. And she has a Cancer channel as well as one that goes over the 12 signs as well. So definitely check that out. It's the Lips of Wisdom and the Ears of Understanding. That's something you want to check out. Very cool type of vibe there, Cancer. It's nice to see how others kind of gather into their gifts, Cancer. But let's go ahead and get into your general energy of the day, because you have the reflecting pool there, Cancer, and look at you going deep. This is the card of stillness. And I like this stillness with the Scorpio energy, because sometimes I feel the things that Scorpio brings up, it's hard to be still in that. it's hard to let that process, or at least it can be. It doesn't have to always be. But I feel like it can be hard to sit in that, to really reflect on what it's bringing out, because in the moment it can feel like it's bringing up some very ugly things, some very harsh, dark things that maybe Scorpio kind of, because Scorpio's not afraid to go there, to explore the crevices and the depths, to get down to the bottom of what this underlying thing is. But what I feel is coming up with this stillness here in what Scorpio wants to do. It's not meant to do this thing to get you where you're feeling hopeless or that you're feeling that there's no point. It's to empower you. It's like, okay, yes, there are these limitations, but what do I do with that? Okay, where am I giving my power up to? And he's like, yes, I may feel these frustration, Mars energy, that, because let's not forget, Scorpio may be an emotional type of energy, but Scorpio is fueled by, very strong planets in Mars and in Pluto. And so I feel that there's something here that if we can learn to sit in that and learn what those kind of darker things are trying to teach us and how to work with them more constructively, when it gets into that type of place. Because I feel when we get into those energies of fear, and we get into that energy, those things, that something is wanting to be realized. We're suppressing something. There's something that we're trying to, where we feel powerless in a sense. And it's just like, why do we feel that there's nothing else that we can do? It's like, it's not letting it be just like, oh, I'm afraid, period. It's, I'm afraid, what can I do to overcome this? Or what steps do I need to take to understand this internal thing and why it's manifested the way that it's manifested the way that it does. What is this revealing inside of me? But it's wanting to reveal something beautiful. It's wanting to reveal something. Because I like in this card here, Cancer, how when she's looking in this lake, it's a pretty dark lake. You don't really see the bottom down here, but there's a swan image that's popping up here. And I remember in another one of the oracle decks, the swan is a very psychic, intuitive animal that goes on there. It almost kind of reminds me of that sort of that Pisces energy, almost, in a sense. Like the swan looks so graceful going on the water there, but then when you look underneath, it's probably flapping his feet all about. There's something like that contrast there that, well, let's get some tarot on this, Cancer. Get some details. Talk about stillness. Absolutely. I was going to be this. I like this, Cancer. All right, let's see what's going on here. You got yourself. Interesting. All right, Cancer. So you have the Neptune energy here, the Hanged Man, Gemini, the Lovers, the Five of Discs, the Eight of Wands, and the Nine of Wands here, Cancer. Let's talk about the Hanged Man. Because I think I want to say, I talked about the Hanged Man yesterday. The Hanged Man is this energy of, the figure here has voluntarily put themselves, has hanged themselves upside down from the tree of life to receive enlightenment, is sitting with the anxieties, maybe the fears of, maybe we're, because if I have a disc, this can be a card of poverty. Maybe we're thinking about lack of resources. Maybe we're trying to figure out how we're going to get food on the table, maybe we're living this paycheck to paycheck, how we're going to do X, or how are we going to maybe get this dream going. This is Mercury in Taurus, and this is thinking about the material things, and this is, it's also that energy too, is considering your worth when we're thinking about that, what you value. But it's very interesting what's coming through here, because Cancer, I feel we are craftier than we realize. I feel there's some times where when we think about the future and where things are kind of going, that we don't feel like maybe we'll be able to rise to the occasion. And that's a choice with the lovers that we can make. But I feel with that Scorpio energy, it's just like if there's something that you've been afraid to do, for example, it's sitting with that fear, or if and like in understanding why we're not wanting to get that energy moving. Let's say maybe you're wanting to submit a book, or maybe you're wanting to maybe join this club, or maybe go for this class, or go for this audition, or however this may be coming up for you, Cancer. There's something here. The Eight of Wands is a fast moving energy, and I feel there's a need to kind of slow down. It's like maybe you're thinking about all these scenarios here when things haven't quite come to pass yet. It's like it's in when we're getting with the Five of Pentacles too, that worried type of state, that kind of that poverty mindset where it's like I'm not sure, like let's say you have these bills coming, you manage to get bills paid for this month, but we're already thinking about next month. And it's like we haven't even let this month. The fact that right at the moment, I am debt free. And I understand, Cancer, believe me. I absolutely understand with that, where it's like you can feel in the moment that you don't have options, but there are way more options when we take a moment and just kind of sit still and just... The Lovers is this connection with your higher self too, Cancer, that higher force. Like I'm thinking about this Mercury in Sagittarius. The Sag energy is ruled by Jupiter, and this is all gonna make sense, Cancer. Sag is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter, gives this attribute about luck. And Jupiter is a planet of luck, but it's not luck that he just makes you lucky. Jupiter gives you faith that more abundance is coming, that there are going to be more opportunities. And in keeping that faith, we see avenues that were once, when we were in a negative in a negative headspace, we would have missed it because we were coming from a place of there were no other options. But when we open our mind up here, this Mercury in Sagittarius, then I feel that's where we start seeing a lot more, and then we're not necessarily quote unquote lucky. It's almost like it's serendipity, but it's more so like kind of like Queen of Pentacles. She just like she sees the signs. It's Let's get some more on this, Cancer. Still got all that change, Cancer. Let's see, Scorpio's here. Cancer, take care of yourself. Interesting. So you have Mercury here, the Magician, Scorpio, the Death card, the Ace of Wands, the Ten of Wands, and then the Three of Swords here, Cancer. And Cancer, the Three of Swords is a tough card. When we're sitting with this worry, this sorrow, you got a lot of, and even this Ten of Wands here, all of that pressure from all of this stuff, the things that are going on in life, the things that... Because something with the Death card here is giving me this energy of avoidance, Cancer. I feel like the Magician is like maybe there's a mess or something, a situation has gotten out of hand, and it's like, I feel the Ace of Wands, there's a way of shifting this energy, but I feel like it's at the moment, maybe for some, it's seeming a bit more than maybe we can handle, that we can move. And this may be something here where you know, when we're talking Scorpio and that kind of like shared assets, that shared energy, maybe this could be where we might need to ask for some sort of assistance, where there are things that, yes, we're here to do by ourselves, but that interaction with others shows us where because we can't, we're not, it would, we could do it all, but we would need a lot more time on this, in this realm, Cancer. So it's like, it's, I feel like it's not a necessarily need to do it all. Reflect on what you can do, and then asking for help, because in that, that's a resource too. Allies, you know, that's something where it's not worried about what you don't have. Okay, well, maybe someone else has what I can, that what I don't have, and then in that, that can help me get that. It can help act as a bridge, help me kind of transform things into something there, Cancer. So, you know, the Magus card, Mercury, that's, we know we're dealing with the mind and what we're manifesting every day, the choices that we're making. I do feel like while we're still, and again, Mercury's going to be going direct here tomorrow on the 25th, depending on when you're watching this, but Mercury's still going to be in that shadow period, and that doesn't necessarily mean that we're just like off to the races. Mercury direct is just like if you were to just get, you're just coming out of a lovely slumber, Cancer, and then you get your phone's just blowing up with from your job saying, hey, we have this project that needs to be done. I just emailed you 10 projects and I need them by 8 o'clock, and you just, and it's like 6:30. So it's just like, you know, Cancer, I feel like this Mercury direct is seeing where your mind's been, and seeing where, what are some changes. If this gives me like looking into before some smaller things, some I feel like we need to get a game plan as far as like what changes are we going to make, and kind of break them down into the micro here. But there's something, there's something about respecting the pace, and not respecting the pace, let me be mindful. It's something about being aware of that kind of like that analogy there, Cancer, where I know we can be excited when we hear Mercury's moving direct that things are going to be normal, but I feel like it's more so that we're getting more used to the changes that have been happening while Mercury was in retrograde. You know, there have been some things that have coming up there, and it's just like, okay, now what can I do with this reflection going forward? You know, what changes can I made, or where, you're very interesting here, Cancer. Let's get some advice from Pluto and Mars here. All right, Cancer. Did you hear yourself? Last little bit here. Ooh, look at this, Cancer. There we are. Well, not like what you think. It's a lovely Queen of Cups here, Cancer. You have her, the Two of Swords, the Eight of Disc, the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Swords, and then the Moon card here, Cancer, Pisces. And let's switch back over. Because, you know, Cancer, with the Queen of Cups here, you want to talk about, I love that both the Queen of Cups and this Stillness card is here, because both of them are looking over this lake of, where they're reflecting on some things there, Cancer. There's this, going within here that I'm seeing. There's something about this ceremony that's happening, I feel, with this scarab beetle. The scarab beetle's bringing the sun to the moon. And you know the moon reflects the sunlight. And the moon, or the card after the moon card is the sun. And there's something here that in this stillness, in what has maybe transpired here. Oh, and you got the star card here, Cancer. I don't think I mentioned that. But it's like, in what's transpired here, I'm glad I saw that. What has, it's like in the reflection, I feel that what you've been wishing for has manifested. It maybe not be with the Knight of Wands as fast as you've wanted it to, but I feel that something has been integrated with the Knight of Swords if we sit with this. Something that is going to bring about this new sense of hope. That Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, there's a lot of talk, or not a lot of talk, but in that the Sabian symbol really kind of struck to me with the idea of keeping faith in the face of a crisis. And that just even can mean a personal crisis. It doesn't just have to mean a humanitarian one. And where like I've been telling you, I've been having some real kind of tough emotions come up for sure. And there has been a lot of anger and a lot of frustration with where my lunar turns out. There's this it's a lot of first house, and the rising sign is Aries focused, and it has been a lot. But I have been mindful that it hasn't been. I know where the frustrations are coming from, and it hasn't made that necessarily. It has made it easier, but it's a process for sure. But I do keep hope, that because you can, again, the lovers, you could make a choice to, what's the point of doing anything? Just kind of stop doing all this stuff and just sort of kind of be checked out and doing all this. That's what I used to do. You could just sort of escape and just kind of just be and go into create a whole fantasy and live in your world. And it's beautiful in there, but Cancer, the eight of disc is just like, hey, how's that going? How's that working? And again, we're not coming from a judgmental place. It is coming from a place of compassion and just, sitting still with the stuff like, okay, this is the dish that I'm working with. This is the energy that I'm working with. Even when you're looking at charts, it's like no one chart is better than the other. They're all masterpieces, and it's just like, how do I? This is what's going on with me. What can I do to work with that? How can I excel from that? So, I think I'm gonna leave that there, Cancer. But if you like that, Cancer, and what, Cancer, one more thing. When I was talking about people being able to help you out, the Star card can be a card of unexpected help. You never know, Cancer, who's rooting for you, and you never know, Cancer, who's watching. So, but not like a way that you need to watch what you're doing, but more so just like who's just who's sending you those vibes. I'm rooting for you, Cancer. So, but if you like that, Cancer, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and share this thing, Cancer. If you know someone who's maybe just having a tough time, maybe just needing to kind of sit with what's going on, just to kind of process it, see what's going on internally, and see how that's manifesting outwardly. And what are some options that we can do to kind of change where this future is kind of going here. Because it's interesting too. I'm just kind of looking here with how you have like both the fixed water and the fixed air signs here, Aquarius and Gemini, Scorpio and Pisces. It's just something very, very curious about that. Just letting the mind, that contrast between fixed and mutable. They're so, there's something here that it's like you're channeling energies. But Cancer, lovely Queen of Cups, subscribe, hit that bell button to get notified on all these videos each day. And then last couple things there, Cancer. Again, if you've been maybe sitting in stillness, been having some troubles understanding this energy, maybe you're there's a certain part of this chapter in your life. Maybe you're going through a Neptune square. Maybe you're at your Pluto square. Maybe you're at your second Saturn return. Maybe you're at your first Saturn return. Maybe you're just at a Saturn opposition. it's very fascinating when you think about, just even when you remove this stuff, we all have these cycles that we're going through, depending on how much time we have in our journeys. Maybe we'll all go through like a Saturn return that's around your like 30s, and then going through like your 40s, you're getting towards like that. Again, it's unique to the chart. We're getting around like the Uranus return. Some of us are in like the Pluto and Scorpio generation. We're coming up on our Pluto return. And so, or excuse me, Pluto return. Pluto square, yeah, we're an old bunch. But yeah, if you're just curious about how these energies are working in your chart, book a reading with me, Cancer. I'd love to talk about this stuff ad nauseum. There's never too many questions there. And then when we get done checking your chart there, Cancer, you can come over to my other channel, Alchemist 8, where I talk about the transits. And I'm going to be doing I'm looking at these dice that I do. I roll these dice every day, and I think reflect on the energies that they come up. They have planets, houses, and signs on it. So I'm thinking about doing something on that channel, having just a little information section of just about if you happen to have this placement, or if you're curious about how this placement could potentially translate, just something to add another perspective there, just something to have like just some little additional resources for you to check into. And all that housekeeping, kids, I like that. It's down in the description box below, but let me get your surprise cards here so I can get you out of here, Cancer. Yeah, I like this. You got the Prince of Disc here. He's been going around a little bit here, Cancer. I feel like he's been kind of trudging along, and in this stillness, I feel this is you and higher self. You're cooking up a plan right now. I feel like it's been such a contrast what we went through. I feel like the previous lunar cycle was one that was very introspective. It felt a lot softer. And of course it was in Pisces. But that was a time where it's like we went from this, it's like we had this pact that we made, and now it's like, boom, it's like a whole different shift that's happening here. And now I feel like it's sort of like understanding. It's almost like the body is resident or understanding, or I feel like trying to maybe, like integrate the intentions that you're maybe setting here, Cancer, where you're trying to go. And I feel like it's sitting still with, does this still feel like my North Star? Do I feel like I'm changing? Does my day-to-day is how I'm showing up? Is this how I see my higher self showing up? And it's not necessarily, we may not be at our higher self just yet. We're working towards that. That's always a work in progress when we're going toward that. We can always improve. But I feel like is this how higher self goes about their day? Does this feel in resonance? That's sit with that, Cancer. And that's why I feel this Prince of Disc here is, and there is still this moving, slow kind of energy. Again, I feel like once, I like this, Cancer. We got a couple cards here. Think of yourself. But I feel like, again, it's like when Mars, I feel like, gets into Aries, and like as we start moving towards, even like more so like kind of like towards Gemini energy, I feel like that's when things are really going to start getting it kind of like really excited here, Cancer. But you got a couple cards here, Cancer. One of them here, I love this, Cancer, what we were just talking about. So you have the turtle spirit here, which is slow and steady wins the race. So patience, stillness is a virtue, Cancer. And then you have one of these cards in here that I consider them of kind of like an ancient card here. There's some kind of really cool energy. But the scarab beetle from the moon card here, Cancer. So you have the scarab beetle spirit here, which is magic works through you. Magic is working here, Cancer. But I feel like it's in this magic. This is a slow and steady process as you're getting to, again, as this energy is starting to integrate, as you start to learn more about yourself, where you want to grow, your needs, your desires, your passions, your ambitions. I feel this is something where, everything has been so rush. And where, we want to move with intention, sure. But even the planets take a moment and slow down. Mercury goes retrogrades 3-4 times a year. The moon may not. The moon and the sun are always moving forward, but even the moon takes a moment to process. She'll go void a course for a little while, just kind of chill for a minute, and Cancer. I feel that this is, yeah, just allowing yourself to the grace to go at your pace, to not feel like that you're not neither going too fast nor too slow. You're going at the pace that you're ready to meet yourself that day, and just be any progress I feel towards higher self. It's not going to look the same every day, you know. It's but I do feel that as the magic starts integrating, it'll come, Cancer. It's. I mean, it's already here. It's already come, but it's. I feel like it's things are going to just like really start coming together beautifully. I'm excited to see where things are going, Cancer. But you stay aware out there, Cancer. Stay mindful. Stay mindful of the energies. Sit still, Cancer. You know, well, we'll be able to do that tomorrow there, Cancer. We're gonna be spoiler alert, void of course times that are coming up there, Cancer, which is always exciting. But can keep eyes on the moon there, Cancer. Feel, sit under her energies, reflect, maybe kind of send some intentions, maybe ask some questions and see what maybe comes back to you, Cancer. And I will catch you on the next one tomorrow.